Welcome back to CNN 10. This is our third week on the air in the 2019 fall season, and we're happy you're part of it. My name is Carl Azus. I'm at the CNN Center. The first story in today's international coverage takes us to France. That's where the G7, or Group of Seven Summit, is taking place. The leaders of these countries represent the 7 largest economies in the world, and the reason they're meeting early this week is to discuss issues that affect those economies and the world in general. For instance, ongoing trade tensions between the United States and China, or a new trade agreement between the U.S. and Japan. That was announced over the weekend by U.S. President Donald Trump and Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. They said they'd reached a deal in principle on trade, including agriculture and internet business, and they expect to finalize it next month. The Group of Seven began as a group of 6 back in 1975. It included France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the United Kingdom, and the United States. Canada was added the next year, and Russia was a part of the group starting in 1998. But the country was suspended in 2014 after it took over Crimea, a peninsula bordering the Black Sea. Other members of the group saw Russia's move as illegal. A topic that's been discussed this year is whether Russia should be let back in. U.S. President Donald Trump says he thinks it'd be a positive thing if Russia once again made the G7 a G8. But some European leaders have disagreed with that. No formal plans been made on the issue. The Amazon rainforest has also come up as an international concern because of the wildfires burning there. Most, though not all, of the Amazon wildfires are in Brazil, and G7 leaders are discussing ways to both pressure Brazil to do more to stop the fires and offer help to the country in battling them. Brazil's government has sent tens of thousands of troops to fight the flames, and it's also hired hundreds of temporary firefighters to help. Burning in the Amazon is at its highest level since 2013, and Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro says that though burns occur every year during the Amazon's dry season, this year's worse because of warmer than usual weather. But critics say his government's policies play a role.
This morning, Porto Velho has woken up to a startling change in its environment from just the day before. Let our cameraman just pan around here. You can see the sun red, but literally 24 hours ago, you could see a bit more of this river, frankly, and our visibility, I would say, is down to about maximum half a mile. So we just keep panning in this direction. This is, about an hour after the sun first crept up, and the forest canopy pretty much invisible once you get away from the riverbanks. We're going to turn now over to the other side of the bridge so we can show you exactly what it's like from the other perspective. You could see this river before, and now it's basically just the barges and nothing else. This is a key city in the worst affected state by the forest fires. And I talk to you, my voice is beginning to crack up because of the content of smoke in the air. You can smell it very vividly, and it's a sign of the challenge ahead for President Bolsonaro's 43,000 troops who are on their way here. We saw some military planes landing the day before behind me over there, but the challenge is extraordinary, and it's weather patterns, it seems, really, that are causing smoke to move around. Is there wind? Is there rain? How does this cause this city to be affected like this in just one night? Now, we heard from police yesterday that some of these fires are started deliberately at night indeed. That's when they see the surge in the flames, and that adds to many who say the reason this year is so bad is because the Brazilian government has been saying to people, it's okay to deforest. You can use the Amazon as a source of riches, and that may be the reason why people are out there setting fires at night to create more farming land they can use to grow cattle. We saw that over there to feed the cattle, creating some sense of richness in this broadly poorer part of Brazil. The question, though, is with all the global pressure on the Bolsonaro government, can the army do the job? Well, it's extraordinary that they've been putting pictures of a couple of C-130 aircraft throwing water onto the fires. The sheer volume of flames out there is quite extraordinary. The Pope has called for urgent action here, saying these are the vital lungs of the planet in his noon prayers in the Vatican this day, but whether or not that is heard in this deeply religious country, whether that changes the dial of public opinion here, which seems split between those who realise this is really what we all need to breathe. 1 in 5 of our breaths has oxygen that comes from the Amazon rainforest, but every minute, 1.5 football fields equivalent is being deforested. These are startling numbers that barely bring home the fact that this year there's 85% more fires than there were a year before. This emergency here you can smell all around you, and the question I think for people now is whether the Brazilian government has this by itself with its army's capabilities. Does it need outside help? And does it really at its core have the political will to deal with these not unprecedented but extremely bad fires? Nick Payton-Walsh, CNN, Porto Velho, Brazil.
10-second trivia. The 2020 Summer Olympic Games are set to be held in what city? Beijing, China, Paris, France, Los Angeles, California, or Tokyo, Japan? The next stop for the Olympics is the capital of Japan. It will be the 4th time that Japan has hosted the Olympics, if you include the Winter Games too, and next year's events will be the 2nd time the Games came to Tokyo. It also staged the summer events in 1964, and those were the first modern Olympics to be held in Asia. An interesting thing about next year's Games is that Japan is planning to use some of the same venues it built for the 1964 Olympics for the 2020 Games. As the city prepares for its future, we're hopping aboard a boat to sail into part of its past.
Hundreds of years ago, Tokyo was called Edo, and the city flourished around its waterways.
Tokyo was constructed as water city. This area was surrounded by network of water system.
While the city eventually transitioned to using more modern infrastructure, such as railroads and highways, many of these historic canals and waterways still exist in the Tokyo we know now.
This is my first time being a boat in the river in Tokyo. As I was living in Italy, I've been many times in Venice. Venice is onto the water. But today, we are here in Tokyo, but still, we don't feel like Tokyo is onto the water.
Since the Edo period, much of the Tokyo Bay Area has been built from reclaimed land into man-made islands.
They took
the earth and sand, reclaimed the land, and as a result, these channels now exist.
When we think about a man-made land, we think about, okay, maybe Dubai, but actually, Tokyo is much developed onto a man-made land. It's kind of crazy.
The city is changing. As you can see, venues like the Athletes' Village are now being built for the 2020 Tokyo Olympics and Paralympics along the river.
The guide was really great. He knew a lot of things. And once we start, cruising, I saw so many new places.
それまでずっと今日の方にあった町にあったところが何もない。
I think when you come to Tokyo, when you see Tokyo, you have to have experienced both sides. Living inside Tokyo, and in a way, looking at it from outside, which is from a river, you see Tokyo in a different way.
For the elite athletes competing in the 2020 Summer Games, we present the medals, or at least a glimpse of what they'll look like. Around 5,000 of them will be made for the Tokyo Olympics. They'll feature Nike, the Greek goddess of victory, on the front, and the Tokyo 2020 logo on the back. What's unique about these is that they'll be made from the gold, silver, and bronze that's stripped from old electronics, including used cell phones. Now, we don't know who made that call, who voiced interest in what some would call a tonally golden idea, but it took more than a silver of creativity and could dial up a strengthened bronze between medalists. I'm Carl Azuz, wrapping up today's closing ceremony of CNN 10.